let's jump right into this explainer. Have you ever noticed how literally everything around us is begging for our attention? Today, we're exploring a seriously fascinating intersection. We're going to bridge the gap between our hyper-optimized digital world, where every single second of your attention is fiercely fought for, and ancient Christian spiritual practices that were designed to, well, anchor us. If you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, or 50s, and you're trying to figure out how to actually grow as a Christian in today's incredibly noisy, fast-paced world, you are in the exact right place.
Think about it. We live in an era of intense digital optimization. Marketers and content creators absolutely obsess over things like font sizes, color contrast, and crazy algorithms, all just to maximize viewer retention. But then, contrast that with spiritual optimization. I'm talking about focus, peace, and divine grace. We are incredibly skilled at capturing human attention on our screens, right? But man, we profoundly struggle to capture, or really to direct, our own attention toward the divine in our own hearts.
It is actually astonishing how much research goes into something as simple as subtitles. According to our sources from top editing platforms, creators meticulously pick fonts like Noto Sans, Arial, Montserrat, or Calibri. And why? Well, because these clean sans serif fonts reduce eye strain, they boost readability, and they keep your eyeballs glued to the screen for that 15-second clip. They are literally engineering your attention. And that brings us to a massive modern dilemma. We are undisputed experts at capturing and holding human attention. But what about our attention toward the divine? You know, you're likely juggling a career, maybe a family, endless phone notifications, and a relentless 24/7 news cycle. So how on earth do we hold on to our spiritual retention in a world that is constantly trying to distract us? Section 1. The Lost Art of Attentiveness. So, the foundational premise across all our sources here is that God is actually always present. The issue isn't his absence. Nope. It's our deafening, distracted reality that makes us completely oblivious to his voice. Think of it like this. Just as video subtitles translate audio to make a video accessible to everyone, especially if you're scrolling without sound, spiritual practices help make God's presence accessible right in the middle of our daily grind. We can essentially subtitle our spiritual lives so we can actually comprehend what's happening around us. The C.S. Lewis Institute gives us this incredibly piercing thought from Lewis himself. He wrote, "The world is crowded with him. He walks everywhere incognito. The real labor is to attend. In fact, to come awake. Still more, to remain awake." Wow. So the crucial takeaway here is that God is everywhere. He's walking right past us in our daily lives. Our biggest challenge isn't finding him. It's simply paying attention. It's staying awake. And this aligns perfectly with the biblical account in 1 Kings 19. The prophet Elijah is desperately looking for God. But God's presence isn't in the mountain-shattering wind, it's not in the earthquake, and it's not in the blazing fire. Instead, God is in a gentle, quiet whisper. Look, if your life is filled with the daily earthquakes of social media and the raging fires of anxiety, you are absolutely going to miss that quiet whisper unless you have intentional focus. Section 2. Wisdom from the Kitchen. So, you might be wondering, how do we get that focus without escaping to some silent mountaintop somewhere? Well, let's look at a 17th century monk who figured out the ultimate spiritual retention strategy. Born into deep poverty back in 1611, Nicholas Herman served as a soldier literally just to get enough to eat. After a severe injury, he eventually entered a monastery in Paris around 1651, and he took the name Brother Lawrence. When he died, his letters and conversations were compiled into this amazing book called The Practice of the Presence of God, which was published in 1692.
Now, here's the thing. Brother Lawrence wasn't some high-ranking official or wealthy scholar. He repaired sandals and worked in the monastery kitchen. And as you can imagine, a 17th century kitchen was likely a chaotic, loud nightmare filled with clanging pots, roaring fires, and very demanding monks. Yet, people from all over France, from commoners to high-ranking church leaders, came to him for spiritual guidance. Why? Because he managed to perfectly wed deep spiritual contemplation to demanding outward physical activity. This quote from him is just stunning. Listen to this. He said, "In the noise and clatter of my kitchen, while several persons are at the same time calling for different things, I possess God in his greater tranquility as if I were upon my knees at the Blessed Sacrament." He realized that totally mundane chores, washing dishes, running errands, or, for us today, commuting, folding laundry, or staring at a spreadsheet, they can all become profound moments of continuous worship. Section 3. Spiritual Gifts and Grace.
Okay, so how do we actually cultivate this presence in our modern lives without relying on our own exhausting hustle? Because let's be real, trying to force yourself to purely think about God 24/7 sounds like just another exhausting item on your endless to-do list. As our sources on Christian theology point out, a spiritual gift is an endowment given by the Holy Spirit. It is absolutely crucial to remember that experiencing God depends way more on His grace and His kindness than on our own abilities. It's not a productivity hack, guys. It's a gift you receive and participate in.
Brother Lawrence defined the presence of God as a realization of Him as present, an effortless joy beyond measure, and a peace of the soul. Did you catch that? Notice the word effortless. When you establish a steady habit of communicating with God throughout your day, it completely stops being a chore. It becomes the very thing that nourishes and sustains you through your crazy busy schedule. Section 4. Your daily spiritual exercise. For the modern believer who wants to integrate these ancient maxims into a highly demanding routine, Brother Lawrence offers a beautifully simple 3-step method for literally any daily task. Step 1. Before you do the task, offer it to Him. Step 2. During the task, silently praise and love Him. And Step 3. After the task is done, thank Him. Seriously, you can do this before answering a difficult email, during your drive to pick up the kids, and after finishing a tedious project at work. The mindset required here is simply to stay alert. Brother Lawrence taught that God doesn't actually ask much of us, merely a thought of Him from time to time. Just a little act of adoration, maybe lifting up your heart to Him during meals or while you're hanging out with friends. It's all about creating a holy habit of continuous, alert conversation with God. And to track your progress, the C.S. Lewis Institute suggests this really practical daily awareness check. Think of it like a retention metric for your soul. Ask yourself, where have I met God today? Where have I missed God today? What specific practices help me pay attention? And what anxieties or distractions hinder me? Taking just 5 minutes to review this at the end of the day can drastically alter your spiritual trajectory. Section 5. Subtitling your spiritual life. So let's bring our opening metaphor full circle. Video subtitles translate audio into text, they increase viewer attention, and they provide absolute clarity in a noisy room. While practicing the presence of God does the exact same thing for your soul. It translates your boring, mundane routines into divine encounters. It increases the flow of grace in your life, and it provides this deep, unshakable peace amidst the noise and clatter of your own modern kitchen. I want to leave you with a rather provocative thought to ponder today. If you spent as much time optimizing your attention toward God as you do curating your digital life, what would your daily reality look like? Thank you so much for exploring this explainer with me. Take these practices, start subtitling your soul today, and just watch how it transforms your world.